So we also see a lot of women, I'm sure in your 25 years of experience, the number of PCOD, PCOS cases that you would have seen in the past to what it is right now, it's drastically increased. What do you think is the reason for this?
Mm. See, the thing is, a lot of people do not even walk much, right? You must have noticed.
Yes.
Even to cover, say, 5,000 steps a day is a challenge.
Yes, that's true. I
Okay, so
agree.
activity is one. Next thing is consistency with exercise or even eating right. And also sleeping very late because of gadget usage. If there is a family history of diabetes, the child or else the lady or the girl might also have the tendency, right? So that can also affect their health in a big way. Food choices. So what is it that you eat when you're extremely happy, when you're sad, right? So some reach out for a lot of juices or milkshakes or anything which is refined carbs.
Right.
Which means if there's someone who's constantly eating, like say, pizzas or pastas or white rice based dishes, not taking enough fiber and all of that, because most often the vegetable intake is just 1 or 2 spoons in
Correct.
a whole bunch of people. So that's another thing. So not eating a balanced diet, basically, that is also another factor. And one more thing is, because of all these apps, we don't even walk enough. There's something called as neat calories or non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which means you go to the gym or else say to your Zumba class or else yoga, whatever, functional fitness, come back. And then what do you do for the rest of the day? If you end up sitting in the couch working, okay, probably doing some real work, but then your legs are not moving, that's not going to be helping. That's why we say, these days, I'm sure you would have heard, sitting is the new smoking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you're not moving enough and if you're ordering stationery, groceries, everything through an app, then you end up sitting, you're just using only your fingers to order this, and this is delivered at your doorstep.
Yes.
So where is the amount of walking? It's not happening. So all of this, and plus the pressure, the kind of stress that we are facing is completely different from what it was a decade ago.
Correct.
Loneliness is another
Yes.
challenge. So it's a cluster of things. It's multifactorial.
Right. So when it comes to nutrition, what are the 5 things that people should avoid if they have PCOD or PCOS?
Fantastic question. So the main thing is anything to do with sugars. Anything that tastes sweet. It could be honey, jaggery, white sugar, or any dessert. Avoid that completely. Next is any juices, because that has high glycemic index. It will get into your bloodstream super fast and cause a spike, and a little later it will just slump. So these huge fluctuations in blood sugar is like pretty bad for PCOS. So the idea is to have very stable blood sugar thing. So avoid anything which is like a juice or a milkshake or anything loaded with sugar. Completely cut it off. Roots and tubers, anything that grows below the ground, to be avoided. Then of course all the white things, maida, that is refined flour, or else white rice based dishes, eating that in tons without any protein or fiber in that meal, that can also affect in a very big way. And another factor is gluten and dairy. When you remove that, that also works very well for a lot of people. I cannot say all, but that also helps a lot.
Okay. So generally for adults at this point of time, depending on the kind of stress that we're going through, is there or are there any foods that will kind of help us boost our mood and also fight anxiety?
Okay. See, for anxiety, the biggest cause I would say is sugars.
Okay.
Because the moment you have something sweet, the sugars, the blood sugar itself will spike, and then there will be a crash. And when it hits a low, you'll actually feel really low.
Okay.
And when there is a spike, it's like you're hyper. Haven't you heard about ADHD
Yes,
and all
yes.
that, right? So there's a lot of sugar. So people do take a mint, or else they're chewing gum which has sugar, or they're just having even the mouth fresheners that you go to a restaurant and then you get those
Yes,
mouth fresheners,
yes.
the fennel seeds which are coated with sugar.
Sugar.
So we don't even realize there could be a pan or a bida or any of these menthol laced these chewing gums, and sometimes even gummies. So there's just sugar everywhere. Not
Right.
necessarily you're eating mithai every single day.
Right.
Or else a sweet, or else a dessert every day. So watch out for sugar. Next thing is also anything that will rob you of your nutrients. Simple things like having too much of tea or coffee could interfere with your iron absorption and a lot of other nutrients too. And if you have lactose intolerance, and if you don't know, and you keep drinking cups and cups of coffee and tea, this milk is going to affect your gut in a big way. Okay. Another factor is not taking gut friendly food items like say curd, buttermilk, fermented rice with buttermilk, and then eating a ton of vegetables and fruits, especially the seasonal ones. So when we start eating according to seasonal variations, it will also sit well in the gut,
Okay.
and it will support a lot, and the fiber will go and start feeding the bacteria. So the good guys will thrive and really be good, which means it's going to make you feel damn
Correct.
good, right? And when I say nutrient robbers, there are foods which come into our system. For example, if you're going to have just say a soft drink, it is just sugar, carbonated water. It doesn't bring vitamin, mineral, protein, good fats, none of that. But it will just utilize the stores in our body.
Okay.
Okay, so if you were to eat a fresh fruit, it comes with a combination of food factors,
Right.
and that will help digest this food itself.
Right.
So it comes with this whole set of nutrients. It's armed with it. So nature gives it as a package. You're taking it, and it's all fine. But this will deplete it. An empty calorie food will actually take away the reserves that you have in your body in order for it to get metabolized.
Oh, okay.
So look at it that way. These are complete robbers. So let's avoid that also.
Okay.
Right? This is one. And sleep. Sleep is when your body and mind gets completely rejuvenated.
Yeah.
So do not compromise on sleep.
Right.
This is another factor. And water. Hydration is something which is very, very important.
So what is the optimal amount of water that everybody needs to drink?
Okay, so there are people who might sweat even in this temperature.
Right.
Right? And there are some who might not sweat at all.
Yes.
Even
I
after
don't sweat at all.
Yeah, same here. Even after a 1 hour Zumba class, I'll
I'm
be
like, yeah, it's just like very little. Yeah, I get it.
Compared to somebody else. So it's very subjective to that individual, and it also depends on where they reside.
Okay.
The environmental temperature and plus their activity.
Okay.
On an average, I would say for an adult, anywhere between 2.5 to 3.5. Especially if it is a person who is living in a hot and humid weather like Chennai. This is the recommendation. For a child, maybe a school-going child, maybe around 1.5 to 2.
Okay.
So the idea is to check the color of urine
Okay.
and making sure that it is colorless.
Okay.
If it has a yellow tinge, then probably you are dehydrated.
Dehydrated. Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay.